Welcome to Lando Sports Discussions, your spot for real takes on NFL, NBA, and all things sports. I'm your host, Lando, and today we'll be discussing three topics today. First, the NFL Week 1, my take on it. I know this is technically Week 2 now, but I'm a little late, but it's all good. Second, the LeBron campaign tour of him being the GOAT. I think this is supposed to be his farewell tour right now, and he's starting off with a bang. And then lastly, the fight that's supposed to happen tomorrow night, Canelo versus Bud Crawford. Let's go ahead and get into it. I know. We're a day in the week two. Packers, Washington, they did just play last night, but I want to give my week one takes still because we're not really in the nitty gritty of week two yet. So that being said, here's my takes on week one. First of all, Jalen Hurts had a very great performance pre uh, delay. And I think that right now he's trying to establish himself as a legitimate top five quarterback. In all honesty, I don't have him or I didn't have him as a top five quarterback going into the season. He had a very good game, but the Cowboys, in my opinion, had the worst roster in football overall, as you saw on the last episode. It was a close game. It's a divisional game, so we shouldn't take too much into how close the game was. What I really liked was how he stepped up when they needed to step up and got the job done, and ultimately they ended up winning the game, despite all the drops from CD Lamb. My second biggest takeaway is that Caleb Williams might not be what we thought he was. So, me personally, I have a thing against USC quarterbacks. They fool us all the time. So, when it comes to USC quarterbacks, I don't necessarily trust them. But I think that Caleb Williams, raw talent wise, was the most talented guy that has come out of there. So I thought that he would have a chance. And it's not saying like this one game means that he's a bad player, but it's been a constant thing for him throughout his NFL career. And now we're, what, 18 games in. So the thing is, he does the hero ball thing a little bit. He's not a very accurate thrower, as we can see now. Bill Belichick even called this out during the preseason last year. So it's not like a me thing. And that's why I had picked Jaden Daniels over him to win Rookie of the Year. He just has accuracy issues. And when everything was on script, he looked amazing. But then when they got off script and the pass rush started to get to him, he went back to kind of his old habits. Um, Not saying that this should elevate JJ McCarthy in any way. I don't think that JJ McCarthy was all that great either. If anything, JJ McCarthy's fourth quarter was virtually Caleb Williams' first quarter, so both of them played not that great for 75% of the game. But you give McCarthy more because when it came down to it, it was when it mattered. But Caleb Williams is starting to remind me a little bit more and more every day, less of Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and more like Jake Plummer and Zach Wilson. So yeah, he might not be the one, and that's unfortunate for Chicago. My third biggest takeaway from Week One, I picked the Chiefs over, and I still feel confident about that. But I don't feel confident that they're going to be a Super Bowl competing team or a competitive team in the playoffs throughout the next few years. They need a lot of help at wide receiver, clearly. They need a running game. Patrick Mahomes cannot do it all by himself. He is not a Josh Allen who has the size and the capacity to do those things. He's going to get hurt if he tries to do that. So Travis Kelsey, he's done. Like he's cooked. You know, he just this is your last season and it's not going to be with a Super Bowl ring if y'all keep playing the way that y'all play. And once again, week one, their best wide receiver gets injured. And he's not their best wide receiver worthy. He's not their best wide receiver, but he is their best wide receiver that's on the roster right now because their best wide receiver decided to street race and got a 6-game suspension. So I think the Chiefs' reign is over. Their defense is still great. Their defense can still keep them in games. So hopefully, as things start to get better, they'll form into that Voltron type of ordeal. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to see the Chiefs and them struggle against a team that they've always pretty much handled when things got tough. My last takeaway from week one, and I discussed this on the Between Brothers podcast. So if you want more of what I thought about week one overall, like more immediate reaction, please go back and watch that episode. But or listen to that episode. But we really need the preseason back. And what I mean by that is like starters playing in the preseason. And of course, there's the risk of injury, so I get why you don't want to do it if you're an organization. But this was such a dull week one. Like, there was no great performances outside of, Sunday night and Monday night football. And then, of course, that the first games of the season, Thursday night and Friday night, those all those performances were great. But that where football owns is Sunday, and Sunday just wasn't it for me for the first 6 hours, 7 hours of the day. So I think that we need to start bringing these guys in, then getting them more acclimated. Even though for the Bengals, it really didn't seem like it did anything because they were still terrible. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, week one was kind of mid, very mid. I'm hoping week two is better so far from what I watched the game last night. It doesn't seem like it's much better, but shout out to the Green Bay Packers for that W. But yeah, I'm not really excited about this season so far. Okay, so my next topic, LeBron James. And LeBron just had an ad campaign talking about how he overcame all his rivals, or he beat all his rivals, which I guess technically he did. But he beat all his rivals and all this other stuff, weight on his shoulders and the chosen one and all that stuff. And it's like he's trying to like subtly say that y'all should think I'm the GOAT. And then there's people who are smart and don't think he's the GOAT. He's a great player. He's one of the greatest players I've ever watched play basketball. The issue is there's rules that are made for him that aren't made for anybody else. You got the Nick Wrights of the world giving him 100 excuses, the Shannon Sharps giving him 100 excuses. And it's just like, why? Why are we doing this? So I used to get in Jordan LeBron debates all the time. And they got boring. The reason why they got boring is because they are so easily dismantled. Like every talking point they have, it's easy to debunk it or counter it. Like I didn't even need notes for most of the stuff. I didn't need Google for 99% of the stuff they said. And it's just because those people know what they saw versus what the history says. So that's the biggest issue when it comes to LeBron is history tells us that you're not it. And it's not just in this particular sport. LeBron has something that nobody else has. And before I get to that, I'm going to say that this is about championships, but not completely. Because I do think that basing it solely off of championships is one of the weakest arguments you can make. And I know Stephen A. Smith brings up the 6 rings and 6 finals MVPs and never losing. And it's like, yes, do we value never losing? Yes, but we don't value it that much in sports. How do I know that? In boxing, Floyd Mayweather, some boxing historians don't believe that he's a top 20 fighter of all time. Now, he's the greatest fighter I've ever seen fight. But people don't think that he's the greatest of all time. He never lost. And he beat a bunch of world champions, a bunch of different guys, a bunch of big names in boxing. But people won't consider him the greatest of all time. But yet we'll consider Sugar Ray Robinson, who had, 19 losses, and Muhammad Ali, who's had, 5 or 6 losses, I think, the greatest. And it's like, oh, well, that's individual sport. It's not the same. It's a team sport. Yeah, there's more risk of losing when you got to rely on others. Like, I don't even know why people even say that. There's more risk of losing when you have to rely on other people to do their job in order for you to win. And so When it comes to football, Tom Brady, the second he won 5 championships, they put him over Joe Montana, even though he had lost twice by then. And Joe Montana is undefeated in the Super Bowl. But then undefeated doesn't really mean that much because Joe Namath is also undefeated in the Super Bowl. What does that mean? Like even LeBron with the whole 3-1 thing. Like, okay, but nobody can. That doesn't make you the GOAT because nobody considers Eli Manning the greatest player of all time when he beat the greatest regular season team in NFL history. So that doesn't do anything for your talking point. Um, LeBron though has a losing record in said championships. There is nobody who's considered the GOAT in their respective sports that has that hanging over them. And so if LeBron was 7-6, 6-6, it would be a completely different conversation. Unfortunately, he's not. So what are we talking about? We can't change the rules for LeBron. The rules are the rules. You don't just have to win, you got to win more than you lose. That's what winning is. And LeBron didn't do that. So, for that reason, amongst many, many others, you're not the GOAT. Let it go. All right, now I'm talking about the big fight that's coming up tomorrow night. I can't wait. I wish I could go, but them tickets are too expensive. Look, I don't make no money off of this right now, so so it's all good though. I'm going to enjoy it tomorrow uh, in my home on Netflix. So who am I picking? So those who may listen or watch the podcast, uh, you would know that Terrence Crawford is my favorite fighter, and Canelo is one of the fighters I hate the most. So you know who I'm going. I'm going with Crawford, but it's not just a heart pick. There are strategic things that Crawford can do and should be able to do kind of easily against Canelo because of the way Canelo fights. Canelo tends to fade in fights. So Canelo, if Crawford can avoid the big punch in the first 5 or 6 rounds, uh, which will be a task because Crawford likes to engage a little bit more, and he also isn't always the most defensively responsible, so he can get caught, and that's why I give Canelo a puncher's chance, like actually more than a puncher's chance. So with that, um, Canelo tends to follow people around the ring, doesn't really cut the ring off very well, um, and then he throws everything hard, and that's for one of the reasons why he fades in fights. He throws everything with malicious intent, and that can be a good thing, but he's not been delivering the kind of shots, and he doesn't have the power that he once had when he was younger. Now, part of that could be because he's at a higher division, and then part of that could just very well be that it doesn't really matter because Crawford is a 147 guy. And people was like, oh, well, his last fight was at 154. Like, we didn't consider Floyd a 154 guy, even though he had multiple fights at 154. So we're not about to do that with Bud. This is a guy who's moving up virtually 3 divisions, 21 pounds, and the odds only opened up at 2-1. And that is surprising because Canelo has everything working for him. He has the size advantage as far as like his girth. Um, he has the experience advantage. He has the age advantage. How are you only a 2-1 favorite? Nobody's talking about that in boxing, by the way. And so it just shows me that if Bud was a 160 guy moving up, he'd be the favorite. If Bud was a 168 guy, Canelo would never take the fight. And not only like he would be the favorite if he was a 160 guy moving up, he'd be like a 4-1, 5-1 favorite if he was 160 moving up. So it's incredible that nobody's really talking about that. So Canelo has a lot of flaws, especially his inability to deal with guys who use the jab and move. So which Crawford can do, has done. I don't, but lately he hasn't really been fighting like that. So I don't know if he's gonna go back to that because he did mention like he was gonna walk Canelo down. And I hope it happens. I really do, because I would love nothing more in sports. When it comes to Bud, he can fight either hand. He's a switch hitter, the Mickey Mantle of boxing. Um, the the issue is sometimes he's not defensively responsible, doesn't keep his hands up when escaping. So that's Canelo's chance to catch him with something bad. With that being said, if he's defensively responsible all fight, I think that this is going to be an easy win for Bud, because Bud does use his feet. His hands match his feet. Um, he does fight off the jab, either hand. He tends to eat right hands when he's in the southpaw position, which is a weakness of the southpaw position. So it's not like it's abnormal. So hopefully, I'm sure he's going to start out as southpaw. So hopefully he can take the power when it comes to that. He also um, places body shots well, and so him placing body shots well is why he should win this fight. Because with Canelo, how he punches, if you go to the body, which is what Floyd did and what Bivol did, they placed good body shots. You should be able to gas him out even more than Canelo's going to gas himself out. And so I see this fight. Here's how I see this fight: Bud winning the first 3 or 4 rounds, Canelo coming back strong and having really good rounds where you can say that he's won those 2 rounds, and then he's cooked because the body shots have worn him down. His chase to get back in the fight has also worn him down, and his style has also worn him down. And then Bud just picks him apart and pot shots him for the rest of the fight. And I don't think Canelo gets stopped, but I do think he gets rocked and rattled a lot. You'll see a lot of this, a lot of Pez dispensers going, and Bud wins 118 to 110, or 117, 111. I think that's how the fight goes. Um, so yeah, that's my analysis of the boxing match this weekend. And y'all tell me what y'all think about all of it. This has been Lando Sports Discussions, your spot for real, authentic takes on sports all day, every day. Look forward to hearing from y'all soon. Thank you so much for watching.